Fundraising for your startup is a thankless and insufferable experience, and it will test you and it will break even the strongest and most psychologically resilient individual. I get it. In this video, I am going to walk you through the blue pill versus the red pill when it comes to funding. I'm making a reference to one of my favorite movies, The Matrix. If you have no idea what the blue pill or red pill or The Matrix is, you're too young to be a founder anyway. Just kidding. Stick with me. I'll explain everything. Also in this video, if you stick to the end, I'm going to show you the formula on how to find investors. And I got to warn you ahead of time, this is all about the reality, the harsh reality of what it's going to take in this investment climate to find the investors that you need that fit with your startup. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang, 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. Just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times, and that's to your benefit because I make videos like this, especially if you're an early stage founder trying to raise pre-seed or seed funding. I'm going to try and help you avoid some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but hopefully you minimize the damage of those mistakes because this is hard enough as it is. And if you like this type of content, I'd appreciate a like, comment, subscribe. Love to know your thoughts as I'll continue producing videos like this. Getting back to funding, like I said, it's miserable. I know I have to do it every day. There's not a day that goes by when I'm not talking, researching, or have my team doing investor relations. I've yet to meet a founder that absolutely loves dropping everything to go raise capital. Unless, of course, maybe you're this guy, but I digress. Let's talk about the blue pill versus the red pill. In the movie The Matrix, our hero is offered a choice between a blue pill and a red pill. A blue pill sends you back into the virtual reality, the constructed reality of the Matrix, where everybody is comfortable, they're living their lives, and they're completely oblivious, ignorant of what the actual reality of what is happening to them in and outside the Matrix. Then there's the red pill, and Morpheus says you're basically going to wake up from this sheltered existence where you think you know what's going on, and you're going to go down this deep rabbit hole, and he gives Neo a warning. And that's the same type of warning that I want to give to you, because my job as an advisor is to put it right in front of your face and take the risk and give it to you like it is, right between the eyes, so you understand the realities of what it takes to raise funding, especially in this environment. The blue pill is what we experienced in 2021 at the height of the frothy startup funding environment. That's when everybody had access to capital because capital was so cheap. There was no interest on getting capital. So there's capital in the market, and everybody said, we need to invest it somewhere because we want to make money. So it was going into the stock markets. Tech companies' valuations were inflating like crazy. You saw IPOs start to happen, and people with money on the sidelines said, how do I get in on this action? And then investors came in as general partners and said, give me your money and let's put it into this alternative asset called startups, because you can become a billionaire just by investing in these startups. And some of it is definitely true. There are a lot of people who've gotten extremely rich. And then what investors did is they went to founders and said, you need capital. My capital is going to help you become successful. Then it became a matter of managing those portfolios as assets so those general partners could gather more funds and raise bigger funds and charge their management fees. And around we went in this whole venture capital cycle. And by 2023, there was a mass extinction event. And now in 2024, by the time I'm recording this, we are at the lowest levels of capital in the market, the lowest numbers of deals, the lowest numbers of VCs out there for you. There is way more demand for capital than there is supply. So I see a lot of founders continually taking the blue pill, thinking it's 2021 and it's easy, or should be, or even worse, they're entitled to funding just because they're a founder. And there's a reality check going on where things are not as they seem. And it's alienating, not to mention very jarring. And I'm seeing a lot of founders have adverse reactions where their emotions are leaking all over their startups. When they talk to me, they talk to investors, and that's not giving them the greatest look. It's actually preventing them from managing their executive presence and making the impression on the investor that they need in order to gain that trust. And for the investor to say, in this environment, when I have so many choices of different founders, this is the founder with the X factor. I'm going to invest in this founder because I believe in you. Now let's go to the red pill. The red pill is going to wake you up to the reality. Maybe you're already taking the red pill, and this is just going to be more tutoring, more advice to help you navigate these really, really difficult and choppy waters. Here's what it all boils down to. Fundraising is founder-led sales. It's the same thing when you want to go from 0 to 1 and get customers for your startup. Every investor wants to see a founder do founder-led sales Go out, get in the trenches, get on the front line, hand-to-hand combat, and get those first customers, because that's the way you're going to understand your market, you're going to understand your user, what makes them tick, their pain points, and how to talk to them, present your unique value proposition in a way that makes them want to use your product. It's the same thing with investors. So a lot of founders still coming off the blue pill and the harsh realities of the red pill are setting in. Look for that magic bullet. Look for the genie in the bottle, and it just does not exist, no matter what people promise you out there. You going out there and you pitching your startup and what it takes to find that perfect investor for you, because they are out there. And let me tell you, based on the reports, and I see the number of deals getting funded, the number of investors that you used to be able to talk to in 2021 used to have to go through maybe 150 to 200 investors to find that investment. And when they sent you a term sheet, that check hit the bank in 30 days. Now you are talking to 250 to 300 investors, and that takes 6 to 9 months for checks to hit the bank. There's your red pill reality. You can ignore it and take the blue pill, stick your head back in the sand, or you can accept it and figure out, what do we do from here? And it boils down to acting like you are the number one salesperson for your company. Let's take the first step together. Let me ask you a question. This was given to me by my colleague, Ryan Rattan, Chief Marketing Officer at Startups.com. Shout out to him, and thanks a lot for giving me this piece of advice. What's your plan B? Now, you might have seen another video where I said the best founders, unicorn founders, don't have a plan B. And that is true. It is their startup becomes successful or bust. But when it comes to funding, you must have a plan B, and that is revenue. See how the two worlds come together, founder-led sales. Your mentality needs to be, if I do not get this funding, my plan B is to just sell the stuffing out of my startup and become my own investor through revenue. If you put yourself in a situation, it's funding or bust, funding or die, then you are sabotaging your chances of success before you even start. I have ventures right now in my portfolio where we have been waiting on funding. We've been promised funding and it never happened. And we said, you know what? We're not going to wait around. It's something I call being pessimistically persistent. And I said to my co-founder, what do we need to do to start generating revenue so we never have to rely on an investor again? Next, I want to talk about getting advisors in your life and understanding there's a 50-50 relationship. When you work with someone like me, what'll happen is I expect you to bring up 50% of all the work necessary to go get in front of investors. And that's getting in front of investors yourself. I can't do that for you. You have to go do that. But I can do everything around you to get you ready for that moment. This is all part about managing your expectations, because I've had founders come to me and they aren't able to raise and they start blaming everybody else. And it just doesn't work that way. Everybody plays their part. Unfortunately, there usually has to be a scapegoat, and a lot of founders like to cast blame. Don't be that founder. Take the red pill. Stick with me. Have those tough conversations, those critical conversations to define what the expectations are, and stay in reality. Now, I'm going to give you the formula that you're going to use to get investors, and you're going to do this in sequence. It is FFABC, which stands for friends, family, associates, ABC list, and C stands for cold calling. And I know that's a nasty word. That is the word that shall not be named in this scenario. And that's the reason it's at the end. Let me get to it. Let me show you how to go FFABC. When you start fundraising, you start with your friends. And some founders say, I don't want to talk to my friends about investing in my startup. Well, then you've got a problem. Then you're not going to be able to do founder-led sales. If you can't go with courage and dignity and go to your friends and say, I'm raising money for this startup, then you're not going to be able to get the rest of the way. I've had many investors tell a founder, if I invest in you, we doubt your ability to go raise the next round. And a lot of that comes from cutting your teeth and learning how to get through FFA, friends, family, and associates, starting with friends. I'm not saying you have to take money from your friends, but that's the best place to start pitching. You want to gather friends that you trust that are going to give you feedback, and you're going to say, let me pitch this to you and let me get your feedback. And whether they invest or not, you're going to ask them, who else should I be talking to? Because every friend has a family member, and family members often can invest. I talked to a founder just the other day saying, I've talked about this enough with my friends, and they got family members that are ready to write me a $50,000 check. Should I take it or not? And I said, no, not if you don't need the money, but if you need the money and you need it to get to that next milestone, that next inflection point, so you can legitimately raise the next round, then definitely take it. But kudos to that founder for getting to the point where they actually got a referral from a friend and a family member. You're going to work your way down friends and family and continue to pitch and get that all valuable feedback. Family members are where you're going to be able to conduct the mom test. Go check it out, where people are honestly giving you feedback, because people out there will lie right to your face and tell you your startup is a great idea, but they will never invest. They'll never even use your product. So as you continue through friends, family, you will get to associates. Every friend has a family member, and every friend and family member has an associate that they know at work or that they invested with previously, or heard just exited out of investment or did really well buying Bitcoin at $300 or got into some real estate investment properties, or actually angels. And A can stand for angels as well. They've written checks and they're used to the risk of writing checks for businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups. The more you socialize and the more you get out there and you talk to them, the more they're going to be keeping you at the top of consciousness. And when they meet that associate, they're going to say, you know what? I know someone who's been talking about this problem, or someone who is doing really well as a founder and is building a great company. I think you should talk to them if you're looking for investment opportunities, because it makes them look good to refer other people. Everything starts to snowball if you do it right, but you have to stay in that red pill zone and be realistic about who you're talking to. And as I mentioned before, it might be 300 conversations before you get to that investor. You're in it for the long game. But as you go, you're going to build that network and it will start to develop its own momentum. People remember you if you're doing it right, and they'll continue to refer. Then when we get to associates, you're going to go A, B, C. This is how it works. You divide your associates list, the people that you know, into the A category, B category, C category. The A's are the ones that you know can invest and you've been referred to, that have a personal relationship with you. You know them and their kids, and they know you and your kids, if you have kids, and they're willing to do you a favor. They're willing to look at your pitch deck just because you ask. These are the ones that you continue to keep close, and you nurture those friendships, even if they're not investing. Nothing feels worse than someone only talking to you when you need investment and they consider you a friend. That's just not how friendships work. I have people in my life that only come and hit me up when they have a problem or they need money. And my reaction is probably not the kindest or most open as it should be, but I'm human. And I don't like being treated like an ATM or a vending machine for investors. Then my B list are the ones that I have a professional relationship with, know of me. And that's the reason I'm maintaining my LinkedIn game. I'm putting out thought leadership content out there. My digital footprint is being managed and curated. So I have a personal brand that makes people go, ha, Ed is a thought leader in this space. He's someone we should talk to if we ever want to solve this problem, or we're looking for investment, we want to talk to Ed as well. After I go through my A list, I ask them who else I should be talking to, and the ones that they refer get onto my B list, but I also go through my entire network, go through my LinkedIn, go through my phone, all my emails, and say, who have I had a good relationship with that is connected with investors or can invest themselves? And by this time, I've developed the intestinal fortitude, the soft heart, and the thick skin necessary to get through the B's. And once I've gotten through the A's and the B's, I keep going all the way through C's, and that stands for cold call. C is for cold call. And that's when I create a CRM and I get a cadence going down and I contact them and I figure out what the best outreach strategy is. I test it a little batch at a time and I make adjustments along the way. And what will happen is this FFABC model will start to become continual. It will become a cycle. So as you're cold calling, the friends, family, associates you've been working with are going to refer you to more ABC associates. And then soon your source of leads will take on a life of its own. You'll start getting used to using tools like Crunchbase or looking through LinkedIn or talking to other founders. And guess what? You'll be friends with other founders and they're going to start referring you to their investors. But you have to get out there. And the more you do, the more you'll become known and the more others will refer to you. And that's how you measure whether you are doing this successful. You want to measure the amount of referrals that you are getting from your FFABC list. If you're doing it right, a large portion of them will constantly refer you. There are times when a young founder comes and talks to me and I can't do anything for them directly, but if they've done such a great job in that conversation, immediately 5 or 6 names start to pop up and I will literally send an email or a message to all of them right there on the phone call. But if that founder is not someone I want to refer and has not made a good impression, I can't muster up the energy, and nor would I even take that risk, which is all the way back to the reason that you must develop the executive presence, the mindset, taking that red pill by getting through FFABC. And the further you go deeper in this rabbit hole, layer after layer, if you can show the intensity, the moxie, the dedication, the resilience, the perseverance to do all those cold calls, believe me, you will get more and more referrals. The best founders I know sit there and they look at their fundraising and say, this is sales. I am going to sell. And if you're not getting those referrals, that's when you have to sit back, reflect, and maybe look at some blind spots and say, what am I doing wrong? Get some advice from those advisors who are going to meet you 50-50, other associates and friends and your co-founders, and let them give you the feedback and make those adjustments. Be open, be coachable. My final piece of advice, start now. If you think about it, you will not start. Too many founders outsmart themselves and they fall into analysis paralysis. They make a huge to-do about getting their pitch deck just perfect, creating all their systems, their software, and the lead sources that they're going to be accessing, and they never go and make a single call. I get it. It's daunting. It can be scary to get that first pickle out of the jar, as I always say, but if you're going to leave no stone unturned, as I use every metaphor imaginable, you must start somewhere. The first stone, flip it over, see what's on the other side, and then keep going. This is how you become a fundable founder and you get through that thankless, insufferable, and miserable experience of raising funds. But one more important thing, because if you raise funds and you raise institutional capital, you are fundraising for the rest of your life. And this will get you into that mode where you'll constantly be developing it and it won't be torn away from your startup. Your startup doesn't have to suffer as you're raising capital. You'll be prepared and you'll have the right mindset to not just raise your pre-seed or seed, but to go on your A, B, C, go on to glory, build that unicorn, have that amazing exit that you know you're capable of. So start now, hang in there, take courage. I'm here to support you. We're all in this together. In the meantime, watch the other videos that I have put on the screen, and I will see you in the next video.